good, everybody? I'm Jack Patterson alongside David Mitchell and Dayne. We welcome you to Week 14 in the season finale of the PrepZone Football Preview.
We didn't expect it to be.
No, we didn't.
No.
Kind of happened. Rough week for our guys last week.
We've
got one left.
We lost 18 teams in the last 2 weeks.
And then there was Marion.
And then there was Marion County. It's all on you, Marion.
Yeah. We'll talk about the Eagles a little bit later with their matchup against Commerce. What we're going to do now is kind of do a season wrap-up of things, and we'll start off with players that we think have been really impressive this year, have had really great years, and Dayne, we'll start off with you.
I picked two guys, one in Alabama and one in Georgia. I'm going to start with Cedric Maynard, running back at Callaway. I forgot how many yards he got, but it was a ton. I think it was over 2,000, right?
I believe so.
He was leading the state.
Yeah.
For I don't know if he finished on top. We'll see once the playoffs shake out, but he was up there the whole way.
I don't know if it's an official stat, but I'm going to just assume that he had 135 touchdowns over 80 yards long, because it seemed like every time that we saw Cedric, he was running 80 yards.
Valid point.
And I never saw him with a 5-yard touchdown. It was always 80 yards.
135?
I just made all that up, but that's what it seemed like. Cedric was awesome, and he was definitely a leader. I don't know what his college deal is, but somebody needs to
pick him up.
Yeah, because he's explosive. Other guy for me, Jake Bentley at Opelika. We're going to talk a lot about him, especially going into next year, but the precision on his passes, the best quarterback that I've seen in our area, covering football here for 4 years.
I went with another quarterback a pair of quarterbacks. One on the Alabama side didn't start as a quarterback, and that's why I picked him. Quan Weaver with Central.
Yeah. His deep ball's very pretty.
Very pretty. He proved that he was actually a pretty good quarterback, and to step into the role that was vacated when Zion Webb got injured to start the year, that's a really tough thing to do. And they didn't have their bye week until after they played all their regular season games. So he was just trial by fire, and he did a great job leading Central to the state semifinals.
And going back to that injury, when that happened, I don't think anyone knew what was going to, there were two guys that were in the running for it, and it was like, let's hope this works.
And there was a chance that, Central's season could have been in trouble early because the offense was sputtering, trying to figure out its way without its best athlete, Travion Samuel, having graduated, and Quan Weaver did a great job jumping in for that. Another quarterback, we don't talk enough about him because the team only won 3 games this year, but Romello Kimbrough, I don't know that there was a guy who was so well-rounded as much as Romello Kimbrough was this year. And
he's got stats, he's got playmaking ability, really, really good. I'm excited for his senior year.
Yeah,
for sure.
Jordan's got very lucky to have him. One more year.
A lot to look forward to from last year. Two guys from Georgia for me this year. First, St. Bassey from Columbus. I mean, we already know the stats. We already know about the leadership qualities. I mean, in Columbus's turnaround, I believe him along with Derrick James was the front, led that charge for Columbus's turnaround and return to the playoffs this year.
Bassey was definitely symbolic of what Columbus did.
Absolutely. And symbolic is the right way to put it, because this is a guy who last year was kind of an unknown in the recruiting territory. He had the stars on the site, but didn't really have the offers. And Columbus, I think that's what they thought about themselves. They were a good football team that nobody was paying attention to.
A playoff football team.
And they proved it this year.
Look at them now, back to the playoffs. So
shout out to Marina.
Yes, great job for them.
I know he watches.
And then I'm going a little bit out off the limb this year, and I was tied between 2 kickers from my last one. I'm going to go with Northside kicker Nate Robinson.
Hey, kickers are very important too.
Kickers are people too.
Kickers are most important when you see how much you need them at the end of a game.
And I just can't help to get taken back to the Northside Shaw game earlier this year, where Northside was down 14-7, and then they got the touchdown, and then driving to get the game-winning field goal, and that wasn't a short field goal. And pressure situation, that game ended up being the decision factor for the number 2 seed.
He changes games. Watching them against Columbus as well. The game didn't necessarily come down to him, but he punts as well. His ability to punt.
Also, his performance against Carver as well. I don't think Northside that game is close as what it was if Robinson doesn't hit the field goals that he hit.
Some teams in our area struggle kicking extra points, and so to have an actual weapon
Once you're within 50 yards, you got a shot with him. Within 55, really. He's got 55.
The kid's got a leg.
And your other kicker, I'll mention when we get to our game of the year.
Yes.
Because he was very important in that.
Yes. Going from players to storylines, we're looking for, just things that jumped out, teams that jumped out for you. Mitchell, we'll start with you.
Oh, I get to go first this time?
Oh, yes.
Excellent.
Number one.
Storyline, Region 1A for me was a fantastic...
You mean 1-5A, right?
1A. Yeah, listen to me.
Region 1A.
5A.
That's
Region
not
1,
actually a
5A.
region.
That was
1A
it
is a region.
It is a
Randolph
region.
plays in that region.
It does not involve us, though. Region 1,
Will you please break down
5A.
Randolph play football?
We have so much to get into right now, Dayne. I really need you to let us stay on track.
Okay.
Let us stay on
What
track.
else is new?
Hey, Joey's over here.
Region 1 5A was a really extremely entertaining region to follow this year. It ended in a play-in game. We had 2 spots that still were not determined until after the regular season.
That was a really fun night.
And what we're talking about is not just how close the region was, but the teams that Columbus hasn't made the playoffs. We haven't seen Columbus contend in a long since I've been here.
Yeah.
And for them to do that was great. And Northside, people, don't necessarily give Northside the credit because of how far Columbus had to come. But Northside, it's not like they're a team that's contended every year as well. So to come within just inches of winning the region, that's a big deal. And then Shaw, of course, getting in as well. And
simply
LaGrange
put,
gave it a great run.
all 4 teams, playoff teams from that region, from the city of Columbus.
Yeah.
And
That's
shutting
the
out LaGrange, who is a great football team.
Great football team.
When's the last time that's happened?
Yeah. It's been a
Detroit?
while.
For me, it is Lee County supremacy. And by that, I mean, you can mention Auburn too if you want to, because they had a great second half of the year. But Beauregard and Opelika, undefeated regular seasons, both deep runs into the playoffs. I still think both teams are good enough to continue playing, but that's just how, you get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Everybody's good.
Right. I think we've got a lot of teams that are good enough to still be playing right now.
And for both those teams to go undefeated, Beauregard put up 82 points in a game. They were routinely putting up 50-something points. I saw so many games where teams just could not compete with Opelika. Enterprise was playing as well as anybody at the end of the year. Beat Central even. They go to play at Opelika that last week of the regular season. Wasn't close at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I'm talking Jake Bentley to James Moss to Kyle Fortenberry.
To everybody.
Everybody that can catch a football. I almost caught a touchdown.
Oh, that's saying something.
I said almost.
That's saying something. What do you got for us, Jay?
Let's not leave out in Lee County. Lee Scott as well.
Yeah, Lee Scott had a
go.
great year too.
Yeah.
For me, I think this for me goes all the way back to week 0. Spencer Green Wave, man.
Green Wave.
I mean,
They are,
Get
to
your
me,
beer, coffee ready.
there are other big stories. This one, I think you get the opportunity to talk about the biggest story this year.
yeah.
I wonder why. Is that because you picked him to make the playoffs? And
Yeah.
you're still bragging about it
Possibly.
every week?
He's going to take that to his grave.
I will take it to my grave because I actually got one right from once. Remember, I picked Kendrick to make the playoffs last year.
What other predictions did you make this year?
I'd rather not say. But Spencer Greenway, man, I said it at the beginning of the year. Spencer's defense has always been good.
Yeah.
There's never been a real question about Spencer's defense. But Spencer's offense finally stepped up. And I think Pierre Coffey and now offense, I'll tell you.
It started with a statement against Carver.
job.
It
Exactly.
really did start with the Heritage Bowl.
And they lost that game, but,
Yeah, but keep in mind,
everybody knew.
Spencer was up in the third quarter of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that opened a lot of people's eyes. And just beating Westside, beating Jackson.
I was up in Dawsonville with them last week, and I can guarantee you that is not a team that was happy to be in the second round of the playoffs. They were very upset when they lost that game.
Yes.
Upset with the way the game went. I'll leave it at that. There was some, questionable stuff going on.
All those teams you mentioned to go to Washington County in the first round of the playoffs.
Going to the House of Pain.
And to beat them, not only to beat them, but like they did.
Mm-hmm.
That game was a 20-point game for most of the game. Washington County made it close late, made it 13-point game, but it was a 20-point game most of the game.
The whole state knows that Spencer is a force coming out.
And I'll tease to later in the show, Spencer's not done yet, folks. Spencer is not done yet by a long shot.
Some classification?
We'll get to that later.
We'll get to that.
So now we're going to the fun stuff. Play of the year.
I feel like it's all been fun, Jack. Are you claiming that what we've spoken about to this point has not been fun?
To the really fun stuff. Stop trying to be that guy.
Come on, man.
To the really fun stuff. We'll go to players
I'm just trying to make sure Cedric Maynard knows we think he's fun.
Who said
Who said he wasn't?
anything?
I'm just
about him not being
80-yard run every time. He just ran 80 yards again.
In the offseason?
Yeah, at Callaway Stadium.
Was that your play of the year, or did you have a different one?
No.
That's how
That was not my play of the year.
Thank you.
There.
My play of the year came from Bulldog Stadium, and not only was it play of the year, we called it play of forever almost, because I've never seen anything like it. Jaleel Hurd picking a football after Enterprise tipped it.
I think I counted. It's like 5 or 6 times that ball got tipped.
And we all
Any closer, it's an incompletion.
Yeah.
Any closer to the
Any
ground,
closer
right?
is an interception.
And he gets it off his fingertips and takes it in, and it goes viral, and I've never seen anything like it, and I am just very glad that the football powers had me in the right spot to capture
Football
that
gods.
moment. Yeah.
Oh, don't be modest. That was a good shot, Dan.
That was a
appreciate it.
fantastic, one of the greatest plays I've ever seen at any level.
What's funny though is Jake Bentley, his brother, is the quarterback at Old Dominion, and he tweeted it and he said that throw was just terrible. And Jake Bentley doesn't have many bad throws.
Hey,
no.
And that one was bad.
I guarantee you, Jake is saying, "I'll take what I can get."
It was still a touchdown.
I'll take it.
Still
It's a touchdown.
So yeah,
Nobody ever complained about a touchdown.
Nope.
Jaleel Hurd, he's coming back next year with them losing James Moss and Kyle Fortenberry. He's going to be one of the top receivers for Bentley. So if they've got that kind of connection already, not that you practice that kind of thing, maybe they could.
Hey,
There you
man.
go.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than be good sometimes.
Jack, your play of the year.
Oh yeah, I'll get to go last this time.
Yeah,
Go
you
ahead.
do.
My play of the year, we're going down to Buena Vista, Marion County, and who else?
Low time? Low time?
It's low time.
Low
Lorenzo
time.
Smothers. This punt return against Miller County, absolutely ridiculous. Maybe 7 or 8 guys missing. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
I watched
He's
it
so
on.
shifty.
I watched it on Facebook later that night. I think you had posted it, and it was just. I was up in Peachtree City with my dad, and I said, "You got to look at this play. I mean, this is just absurd.
Yeah.
This is absurd."
The thing is, like, I believed it because I've seen Lorenzo do that kind of stuff
exactly.
for so
He
long
does that
now.
stuff all the
And
time.
I remember, I think I had a competing play of the night that night, and I looked out like, are you kidding me?
Just no way.
Are
No,
you
there's
kidding
no
me?
way.
I can't
Yeah.
compete against that.
Yep.
That was absolutely one. Before the Jaleel Hurd catch, that was my play of the year.
Yeah.
My play of the year, neither one will make it onto year-long highlight reels, but it was a really big play to me because Hardaway stopping Chattahoochee County on 4th down to get it was its only win of the season. I mean, let's be honest, the season did not finish the way that they wanted to, but that ended a long losing streak, and the excitement, the just taking the monkey off the back, it was a really big deal for that program.
You need
at
that
the
as a
time.
program when you're struggling as a program. You know, it's moments like that that just really stand out for you, and Hardaway needed that. Hardaway really needed that.
Even though that's a moment that those players, they can't take a whole lot away from a 1-9 season. That's something they can take away.
Yeah.
They beat a good football team, and you know, who I can't remember who, but forgive me, I can't remember who it was that made the stop, but whoever did make that stop, I'm sure that's something he'll keep with him.
All right, we go from play of the year to game of the year.
Why
Mitchell.
don't you start, Jack?
All right, I'll start. And I've talked about
Steer too.
I've talked about Columbus, and I've talked about Marion County. Might as well put them together. Columbus and Marion County is my game of the year. It is not so much because it was thrilling. I mean, it did come down to the wire, but I think it was more of a statement for Columbus that, you know, we're here. You know, starting 4-0, you know, and I was there afterwards, and I got the post game, and you guys know me. I'm a Shaw grad, but that student section and those guys, you know,
Columbus does football games right.
The energy that they had at Connect Stadium that night is something that I'll never forget. Not just, you know, covering football, but as a football fan in general, because what we witnessed was just, you know, I say turning the page. Good, like, okay, we're no longer this team that, you know, people can overlook anymore. That we're serious. That we're here.
And I'd like for Columbus too. I mean, it's not easy to go out and watch football games of a team that has not been successful and as long as Columbus had taken.
Yeah.
But their students they've always been really loyal to that program.
And they've embraced that program, and it's finally paying off for everybody.
What I remember about that game was the chess match, Bassey versus Smothers.
Yeah.
That was so much fun to watch and so much fun to just see. Like, I wasn't at that particular game, but just reading on Twitter that Bassey shut him down or Smothers made a play or those two shutting. I mean, that's what college matchups are made of.
Yeah. Here's the crazy little thing about that game. Bassey and Smothers score on defense.
Yeah,
they did not score on
both
offense.
Both of them did, yeah.
So that's another crazy thing. A fun game all around, and I think that was Columbus's coming out party.
Your game of the year was on a Saturday.
It was on a Saturday. It was not in town, and I tweeted afterwards. I said, "Game of the year, hands down, no question." It was Carver 51, LaGrange 50. LaGrange had taken a 28-0 lead in that game, and Jawan Pass went off. I'm not. It's takes a whole team to come back from 28-0, but that was a game that where he was by far the leader, the stat stuffer. I mean, he did everything. Ran it, passed it. They needed 2-point conversions. He'd run the 2-point conversions in. He just took absolute control of that football game.
He did that, and Perry was on his game that night.
Yeah, it was two very good quarterbacks that were matching each other tit for tat. And,
if LaGrange holds that lead, they're in the playoffs.
If LaGrange holds that lead,
1 point.
If LaGrange holds that lead, it's a completely different scenario for all 5 teams in that playoff.
Yeah, because Northside maybe finds a way to win that region.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
I mean, the door's open for anybody if LaGrange
I don't know if the results would have changed because I think the 4 teams that everyone played would have been the same in playoffs, but you never know. That's how things go. My game of the year over in Alabama in 7A.
Another big lead that was gone very quickly.
Central jumped out ahead of Auburn, and this is what Auburn did at the beginning of the year. First year under Adam Weingarten, they had trouble getting over the hump because they almost beat Opelika too. And I still think Opelika was the best team in our area. Central and Auburn, gosh, you were there. You remember what Sage Ledbetter did?
Yeah, well, I remember it was 21-0 with 3:48 left, and then it was 21-21 with like 1:45.
Jamie DeBose said that he'd never seen anything like this before.
I tweeted out the score, and I think I got a couple of people like, "Is that score right?"
Yeah.
I mean, 2 minutes ago, this was a shutout.
So pretty much what happened is Auburn, they did score a touchdown, and then a couple onside kicks later, it was tied up.
Yeah.
21-21.
And I'll say the first onside kick didn't need to be an onside kick because they had timeouts, but it was one of those perfectly placed, not a onside. It was just pooched right into no man's land, and Auburn tracked it down.
And you were talking about kickers earlier. Sage Ledbetter.
Yes.
One of the best weapons in our area. As far as I know, he's still going to be a preferred walk-on at Auburn University. But between that, Sage Ledbetter combined with Adam Weingarten was just kind of a little match made in heaven because Weingarten knows some rules that I'd forgotten about, which Central actually tried to employ last week. By
there
the
you
way.
go.
Free kick, 61-yard field goals against Mid-Station?
Yeah.
What?
I had never heard of that before, and Sage is awesome. He will be missed at Auburn because you don't replace kickers like that.
No.
He's only been there like 8 years, right?
Seemingly.
But
I feel like he's been there for a really long time.
When you start since either a freshman or sophomore, I know since a sophomore.
Yeah,
that's how that happens.
All right. Last thing of our yearly awards / things to watch.
We should have worn bow ties for this.
No, we shouldn't have, Dayne.
You know me. I don't do the dress up thing.
I have one bow tie. I'll bring it next year.
Things to watch for 2016. D-Train, we'll lead it off with you.
For me, I look at a lot of the juniors that are becoming rising seniors, players that are going to be heavily recruited, guys that jump out at me. We mentioned Jake Bentley. Just got an offer from UGA to potentially be a quarterback there. He's got offers from Stanford, Auburn, Miami, Vanderbilt. Ton of teams out there, and he'll get more. He is one of the more precise quarterbacks in the country. Probably the best quarterback in Alabama for sure. Markel Benton, 5-star over at Central. He sliced through, what team was that? A Lee guy from R.E. Lee in the playoffs, just sliced through him. He got cut in half.
Talked about it last week.
I'd never seen anything like that. Romelo Kimbrough, I think, will find some offers if he keeps playing that way. Braylon Sanders already has an offer from Georgia to go be a wide receiver.
And he visited Ole Miss last week.
Yeah, and I'm sure Auburn wants him too. That's how those Callaway guys go. We were talking about Karan DeLentz too, with some SEC offers.
You know, John Broussard is the more heralded of those two cornerbacks. Karan DeLentz, fantastic athlete. He's so fast.
He's a ball hawk.
He finished with about, I think, 7 interceptions this year, had 7 or 8 last year. So
doing some kick returning too, I believe.
Yeah, he had at least 1 for a touchdown. He ran one back in Stockbridge to start the season.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Central's got a ton of guys. That's a dynasty they're building over there.
Yeah. D. Mitch.
I got storyline always. It's every year we want to know about the head coaches and you know, who's going to take some places. Smith Station's looking for a new head coach after Jason Dukes was not retained. Jeff Battles stepped down at Hardaway.
Yeah.
There's quite a few places, and I know. Just heard of some rumblings of some other places. I can't say, you know, for sure yet, but you know, there's going to be 3 or 4 vacancies, and it's, you know, getting the right guy for the kids, for the program. It's always important.
And I'll say this about head coaches too. Sometimes it does take patience.
Yeah.
Look at what Phil Marino did.
Yeah.
Columbus.
It took time.
Took some time.
But that team really believed in him and his leadership.
Yeah. And by the same token, I understand what Jeff Battles felt at Hardaway when he just said, you know, if this team's gonna take the next step, it needs some new blood.
Yeah, a new voice.
And you know, he's a great coach, and he does a lot of great things for those guys. So you hate to see him go, but you know, sometimes players just need a new voice.
And the Smith Station one was a little perplexing to me because they've gotten a little better each year since they lost that senior laden class under Mark Rose when he left. But I think that's as much of a product as they look, you know, over at Central, and they say, "Look out, the Red Devils are building."
That's and
Auburn as well.
When your best rival is
when you're I'm going to diagram it. Here's Smith Station.
Yep.
Here's Opelika and Auburn. Here's Central. Well, you can't see it on there. It's right in the middle of them. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
So it's just tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
What you got for us, Jack?
Biggest thing for me is the GHSA is reclassifying regions. Number one, they're going to have a 7A in Georgia starting next year.
Yeah.
And then
we went through this in Alabama just a couple years ago.
Yeah. And the biggest thing I take away from that is that a lot of our teams are changing classifications. Northside and Harris County will likely stay in 5A. A big decision for the Muskogee County School District is whether Carver, Columbus, Shaw, you know, and Hardaway, whether they play up. Right now they're classified in 4A. Do they play up 5A with the other teams, or do they stay with LaGrange and Troup County?
I had a fun conversation with a coach today about a team in Class A and some of the stuff that's going on. Just kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit. Best Academy is a school with 498 boys. It's an all-boys school.
Yeah.
So it's classified in Class A based on its total school population, but everybody else is classified in 1A as 500 people.
Right.
Best Academy has 500 boys.
Yeah.
And, you know, that doesn't seem right for football. Now you're going to have Best Academy down there with, and that's a team that took Carver to, 3 overtimes in the playoffs 2 years ago?
A couple other teams that I think are really going to benefit about it.
Callaway.
The Callaway Cavaliers are going from AAA to AA.
They're already competing in state.
They were already a state title contender despite the loss. They were already a state title contender in AAA. They're going down to AA. I think they make a huge impact. Another team, I already talked about them, Spencer Green Wave. They're going from AAA to AA. They make a huge, I think, Callaway and Spencer instant state title contenders in AA next year.
Manchester too.
That was my next point. Manchester going from AA to single A, and they'll more than likely they'll probably be in that same region with Marion County. And gosh, I can't wait for that game.
Marion County ain't going away.
Marion County's not going away, but their road to get where they want to go does get a little tougher than it has been in the past. Now that being said,
we'll say they've had some tough regions.
What they did with Hawkinsville the last couple of years.
Hawkinsville, Dooley County, Pacelli, Brooks. I mean, they hadn't had.
It's not like there's been.
They've had some tough regions.
So
You just add more to it.
Yeah, so like I said, Callaway, Spencer, and Manchester are teams that we need to watch out for in new classifications next year, because I think all three of those teams can make noise and make deep runs into the playoffs.
Speaking of Marion County and deep runs into the playoffs,
we have one more game. We have one more game.
The season ain't over.
I said 18 teams lost the last 2 weeks. We started with 19. That one team left is the Marion County Eagles. They will host.
They were the last team last year, too.
The last team standing in the Chattahoochee Valley, they will host Commerce in the second round of the GHSA Single A Public Playoffs. I don't know if you can tell, but it says "We Love Marion."
Yeah, it's tough to read.
Y'all talk. I'll be right back.
Here he goes.
$10 says he's going to find a Sharpie.
I know exactly what he's going to get.
Oh, no. I just figured out where he's going to get to. He's going to get his flipping sign.
Let's talk about the game, though, while he's gone, so he can't distract us.
Yeah.
Bad news.
The big story surrounding that game is the loss of Lorenzo Smothers, not just for the game, but for the rest of the playoffs.
I mean, everybody knows who he is. It's Class A football. He could play in 7A and be one of the best players on the field.
Let's just be honest. Lorenzo Smothers is probably one of the best running backs in the state. Yep. Just as I thought.
And we knew that.
We knew it.
We shouldn't have started, because now he's going to come in and distract us some more.
3, 2, 1.
Real subtle, man.
Yeah, real subtle. While he's doing that, the season.
And he's coming back.
The show must go on, though, for Marion County. Stay focused. Stay focused.
What I tell you about making sure you don't tear up the set back there.
Yeah.
Hey, that was like a flashback to week 1. Well,
That was
Probably should probably cut to that, right? Don't do it. There you go.
That's me.
Oh God.
The show must go on for Marion County.
It is.
And
That's my name.
I think
Marion County makes me signs. Did they make you signs?
No, we only asked like 3 times this year.
Marion, love y'all. Mean it.
See, this is what happens when we try to talk about Marion County. We never get to actually talk about the game.
Yeah,
Because
Natalie came up
like,
to us last week and said, "Hey, I watched the PrepZone show last week trying to get some insight about the game. All we found out is that Marion County loves us and they're gonna monkey stop Twins
every
County."
time we try to bring Marion County up, Dayne's over here. They like me. Neat. Must have some.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll shut my mouth.
Yeah. There you go.
But Marion County's love for me will not be hidden.
All right, so we're going to actually talk about this game real quick, though. got a couple of minutes to actually talk about this game. Lorenzo Smothers is out.
Yes.
Show must go on. And Mikkel Kelly, Maurice Carter, Quintez Battle, these are the guys offensively. Bigger issue to me is maybe going to be on defense, because Lorenzo is such a great athlete, such a ball hawk, and of course special teams. He changes games in special teams. So that's going to be the issue, and Commerce is a good football team. There's a lot of good football teams left in Class A public, but Marion County is not done. They're a very good football team.
The Eagles are
even
not
without
dead
Lorenzo.
by any stretch of the imagination. Just the role just got a little bit tougher, but if there's anything that could prepare them for that, I think it's that region schedule.
Yeah, the worst part about this is that more than likely, even with some very minute chance that he might be cleared by the state championship game, if they were to get there, you know, you just feel terrible for Lorenzo, because
this is
senior year. He's been one of the most fun guys we've had to cover.
Obviously,
so
I mean, we talk about
very
him
tough for him.
almost
But
on a
we'll
weekly
watch him in college, because we know those offers are going to come in, and he's going to end up
most
somewhere
definitely. Looking forward to seeing him play at the next level. All right, Dane, you're creeping me out over there.
Hi.
All right, so
We actually got some good analysis in there.
Yeah, we did.
it's a miracle. So, like we said, it's our season finale, and we got a couple guys coming back onto the show that you saw throughout the season. First one is
Before we do that, can I give a quick shout out to our PrepZone crew on Friday nights?
yes.
You're part of that, Jack. David, I'm going to call you part of that too, because we text each other all the time about stuff that we see.
So we got great guys. A lot of the guys that I work with on a nightly basis on the production team. The guy that directs this show right now, make sure that that A, this thing records, and B, I don't make ourselves look like total idiots.
Kaneem, Rob, they're a great team.
We do a good enough job of that on our own.
Peyton,
Peyton, this is his
Chris.
first year. Jerron, our camera guy. Chris, who's basically another version of me.
Yeah. Maybe a little better.
Probably.
Just circle of excellence stuff.
Yeah. Let's not start that.
Natalie joined us halfway through the season. Been a great addition. Look forward to having her for the full season next year.
Yeah. So it's not. It's a team effort. It's a family thing with us here on the Prep Zone.
Connor, our morning producer, shot a couple games for us.
Joey's come out with us. In fact, Joey's here with us.
There he is.
Wearing a Nicktoons shirt, no less.
Yeah, I figured it's a G-rated show, so.
Fantastic.
There's nothing G-rated about
See if I
this.
can name them all. Ren and Stimpy, Hey Arnold.
There's Reptar.
Angry Beavers,
Wild
Rugrats,
Thornberries.
Wild Thornberry,
Smashing.
Ah Real
Isn't that
Monsters.
Filbert from Rocco's Modern Life?
It is.
Yeah, I think we
I'm
covered them all.
Rocco.
I'm not.
Nauseous. Oh, that's a 90s kid thing. What things?
I'm making sure did we miss anybody on the Prep Zone crew? Savannah was a great producer.
Yeah, or Diana as well.
Yeah, both of them.
a lot of great people helping us on the Prep Zone this year.
Thank you guys for an awesome first Prep Zone for me.
Hey, you're the one that sang. We were we were just gifted to be in your presence.
Might I request that, now I'm not saying it's time, Jack determines this because he is the host. Might I request that Joey sings us out
Wow.
when the time presents itself?
Talking Christmas or talking?
Well, I don't see Bob Jeswell, who we need to thank as well, because Bob was an integral part.
Hashtag no rain.
Always
Hashtag
with
no
the
lightning.
great weather for
Oh, that's
us.
what it was.
Hey, hashtag no
Hashtag no rain.
We don't
all
mind
day.
rain.
No rain on Dayne.
So, Bob Jeswell, huge part of it. Carmen Rose with the Friday Night Tailgate as well. So,
Kevin Roble.
yeah, Kevin Roble. Gotta mention Kevin Roble, man. Gotta love Kevin Roble.
I waited because I knew he'd probably watch and think that we didn't mention him.
Thanks, Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin.
You the man.
So, with that, I don't think we got anything else. So, for Dayne Young, David Mitchell,
And Marion County.
And
Bob
Dayne
Jeswell,
Simon.
the entire crew, I'm Jack Patterson. We're going to let Joe Ripley sing us out, man.
Sure you don't want me to? No, you should.
I'm positive. Joey, man, take it away. Thank you guys for a great season.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. Thank you guys for a great season.
What do you think
Joe,
you're saying?
take it away, man.
Let me get your mic.
Yeah,
He needs a mic.
Yeah, we get to keep mics. We get to give commentary.
We can be those guys like from the
Muppets?
Muppets.
You can see the Stone Cold shirt.
You know what my favorite part of the show is? It gets to end.
That's bad.
Is that
All
a
right.
Muppets reference?
Yeah.
We're gonna be the Muppet guys over here.
Go for it, man.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. May your heart be light. From now on, Dayne Young will never be in sight. At least on the Prep Zone.
Until next year.
Here we are as in olden days. Happy golden days be yours. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining sign upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas. Have yourself a merry little Prep Zone. Have yourself a merry little Christmas now.